the future is hybrid.
Right.
It's not just cloud, it's not just on-prem.
Yeah.
The real power is when you combine the two. What do you think of that?
Hi John, how are you?
Hey Mayur, I'm good, thank you.
We just attended the Integrate 2022 event.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing to be in these events in person back after a couple of years of COVID.
Yeah.
What did you think? How was the event for you?
I think it was a great event. There was lots of good things talked about, but I think the biggest impact from day one really was just, that impact of being in a room with 200 people who all want to talk about integration on the Microsoft platform.
Yeah.
You know, the remote was great. I love the way they did that to meet that short gap, but there's just something about a room full of people to just up the energy, up the ante, and have a much better event.
Just for the viewer, let's do a quick round of introductions. So Jon Sidnell is our principal architect. He's had about 20 years of experience in various Microsoft technologies, including the integrations, and he's been working with Azure for almost a decade now, from the first introduction of Azure. My name is Mayur Macwan. I'm one of the senior architects with Cluster UK, and we at Cluster Reply UK, we help our enterprise customers implement various services on Azure. And today we are going to review and discuss the keynote speech that was delivered by Balan Subramanian. He's the head of some of the Azure integration services that we use, for example, Azure APIM, Logic Apps and Functions, etc. One of the key things that I took away, there was something that was really exciting this year to hear from Balan, is that Azure is really gaining the attention that we always hoped it would. It's getting a lot of momentum. Some of the numbers that Balan threw out on the screen was 100% year-over-year growth in customers.
Impressive.
That's really impressive. More than 1 billion actions per day in Logic Apps, more than 500k active Logic Apps, more than 600k active serverless function apps, and all these petabytes and terabytes of data, all the numbers, shiny numbers that he put out, was really good to see. The amount of the adoption that Azure is capturing in the market.
It's the traction, isn't it? That traction in the marketplace. It feels like those numbers mean that when Azure is no longer playing catch up, it's starting to lead the pack.
Did you notice the new attention on the Event Hub this time around?
I did, It's interesting. If you follow the Integrate conference and Azure integration more generally, when it was first announced, there were 4 services included in what they were calling Azure integration services. You had Logic Apps, Service Bus, Event Grid, and API management. And then a few years back, 2019, when John Fancy introduced it, all of a sudden there was functions in the mix and Azure Data Factory. Bringing in that new, that old model really, right? Batch ETL, but bring it into the fold of Azure integration. This year, there was a new icon on the wheel, the Azure Integration Services wheel. Alongside Service Bus and Event Grid, there was Event Hubs, which was an interesting thing to know.
Not that it's a new service.
No.
It's just altogether a new focus.
It is.
At least there were 3 sessions that talked about events.
I think it just reflects the reality of IT these days. There's the scale of things that need to be processed, looked after, joined together, means that you can't just rely on the old school mechanisms alone. You can't just be polling, you can't just be calling APIs. There's things happening all the time, and you need to respond to those events.
It's like moving on from the APIs. That was the old days, that now we are moving to real-time communications. Now we are moving on from APIs, and then after events, you're responding to the events that's happening.
But a bit like batch ETL. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, where's ETL? It's a bit old-fashioned, right? It's what you do when you can't do anything else. But bringing that into AIS, it's another string to our bow. And I think this is the same with event streaming. It's not replacing APIs. It's not going to replace those other mechanisms we still need. It just gives us more options. It allows us to help our customers move their business at the pace their business is really moving at, alongside all the other good stuff we still know. The other interesting thing about Event Hub is it's the next step in the evolution of Azure integration. And there were some other things that Balan announced as well around more the management, the administration, the operations, the governance of Azure integration. So he mentioned things like the integration resource groups. He mentioned things like the integration hub. all of which we've built Quick Connect as a company, our integration accelerator. We've built that to meet the gaps that we saw in AIS. So to hear Balan share that they see those gaps too, and they're looking to kind of help us in that space. I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table in the next 3, 6, 9 months. So all these new bits are going to really help us to have in cloud integration the tools and the techniques and the approaches and the practices that we had in on-prem integration.
Yeah.
But of course we know, and Balan talked about this too, that the reality is the future is hybrid.
Right.
It's not just cloud, it's not just on-prem.
Yeah.
The real power is when you combine the two. What did you think about what he said there?
And he definitely mentioned that very clearly, and I remember that he said that based on their research and their feedback on their market research, it's quite clear that hybrid is here to stay for quite some time. We are not expecting companies to move everything to the cloud.
No.
Microsoft is expecting that companies would slowly and steadily migrate some of their services, some of their applications into the cloud.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned that anything that's new, and if the company is building a new application or new service, it's more likely to be on the cloud from scratch.
Of course.
Right? And because we are big from the integrated community, most of our customers are using BizTalk.
Yep.
And most of them have already started moving the integrations to the cloud, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely true. We see a lot of customers having a lot of BizTalk implementations that still connects to their legacy systems, and not a lot of those legacy systems are still cloud ready or API ready.
No.
A lot of them will continue using BizTalk until they move everything to cloud.
Yeah.
Because in response to moving to cloud, they now also have to reset some of their systems. They have to rebuild so that they can now utilize the cloud functionalities in its best capacity.
And it's all about the right tool for the right job.
Right.
So I was talking to a customer last week about how they've got an increasing number of cloud and SaaS hosted applications that they need to integrate with. And at the moment their integration is largely on-prem.
Right.
They're running BizTalk server, and it just felt strange to them that they've got all these cloud SaaS hosted applications and a lot of on-prem investment as well. But to integrate the cloud, they're punching back down onto their on-prem, they're doing egress out of their cloud service providers to then send it back up.
Yeah.
For them, and I think they're absolutely right, it makes more sense to say, well, let's have cloud integration processes for those systems and applications that are there. Let's have on-prem integration for those that are running there. And let's join it up into a seamless hybrid whole.
Interestingly, we definitely see a huge focus from Microsoft this time around on the Logic App Standard. They are doing a huge investment, not as much on the consumption side of things. And it's kind of, they're bringing Logic App Standards to meet the BizTalk transformation journey to cloud half the way. Yeah. So it's like, we're going to come and meet you half the way. You know what? We'll give you the VNet support.
The capability to run .NET framework on Logic App Standard. How about business rules?
Exactly. Yeah, and the support of assemblies. So, so customers don't have to pay additional cost of the integration account.
No, just to reuse a BizTalk map.
Yeah.
That's coming into the Logic App Standard plan.
The real asset was the transformation.
Yeah.
The flow could easily be migrated to the Logic Apps.
Yeah.
Up until now, either you had to rewrite those maps, which in some cases could be really tedious.
Really complex as well.
And now, this time around, they also announced the out-of-the-box support of XML files with Logic App Standard.
Yep.
Right? So now you have support of XML.
Yep.
And now you have support of all the assemblies. So if your maps used any of the assemblies, you can easily just lift and shift on the Logic App Standard.
Absolutely.
It makes life so much easier.
It really does. There's a project I'm working on at the moment where if this had been there from day one, it would have been so much easier. As it is, we've had to resort to using a function on function runtime 1 so that we can get the XSLT with the C# functoids in it, but run it in that function. Everything else can run in that Logic App at the moment. Logic App Standard maps. It's anything where there was the C# classic 2-upper functoid, right?
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't work in pure XSLT. I'm really looking forward to that coming in.
Yeah, because in the bespoke world, accessibility was the most efficient way to do the transformation. Now at least there is a very good support system around that. It's really good to see this focus on supporting bespoke migrations to cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the other thing that was exciting was the announcement of the any-to-any visual mapper.
Right. Yes,
I mean, it's not old school, but it's a cloud-native visual mapper that I think is really going to be exciting and really help us.
Quick, I think he put out some mock-up on the screen, so it looked like it's in the works. It's in the pipeline.
It's definitely not just a pipe dream.
Yeah.
There's some substance to it.
Right.
How about on the API front? I mean, APIs are first-class citizens in AIS these days. What was mentioned about APIM that really excited you this year?
Just like Logic App Standard, he clearly mentioned that Microsoft is really committed on making this API management functionalities complete end-to-end. Right. He did mention that the current functionalities, it's more towards the management side of things, whereas he did mention that we want to create a full life cycle of APIs on Azure API management. And some of the things that we lacked on the Azure API management, for example, discovery of APIs, right? Cataloging of APIs, some of the other development functionalities, which we had to use some outside tools, right, when we did the development. Microsoft is working with these third-party companies in order to build all of those capabilities within Azure API management to kind of close that circle.
And it isn't that you couldn't use these tools with APIM before. It isn't that you couldn't catalog your APIs in APIM, but it never felt seamless. There was effort involved.
There was always a workaround.
Absolutely.
And there was another one from one of the other API sessions about GraphQL, which we'll probably cover in some of the upcoming sessions of this series. Synthetic GraphQL on Azure API. That was one of the game changers, I thought.
Absolutely. I think for me, and I don't want to spoil that session when it comes, that is one of the key announcements that got me really excited. My history, I'm a full stack developer before I was an integration developer, so the idea that there's this new model for building APIs to support that end-to-end application development, and APIM can help us here. It's reusing that investment of REST and SOAP APIs, but adapting it to a new model without starting from scratch. I'm excited about that one.
Nice. Any particular moment or announcement that was your favorite in the keynote?
I think for me, it's what I mentioned earlier. It's that the integration hub, the resource groups, that it's seeing that there is that gap in end-to-end supportability, operability of integration. That really, I think when those are in place, then we can say we've got integration platform as a service. At that point, we're getting there day by day, step by step.
It's good to see that we're getting there quite close.
Absolutely. How about you, Mayur? What most excited you from Balan's keynote?
Well, not just Balan's keynote, but I had a chance to speak to Balan on the floor, and we chatted for about close to 10 minutes. He showed the confidence he himself and Microsoft is committed on so many of these new technologies. They're investing so heavily. He did mention that Lego bricks, and when he saw that on our booth, we already had those Lego bricks, and he said, all of these services on Azure, these are like Lego bricks. And they need experts like us and many of the others who were present at that event to help customers choose.
For the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we've been talking to our customers about Azure integration. We've been using that image of Lego bricks. So to hear Microsoft using it from the stage.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, viewers. I hope you like this content, and please give us your feedback in the comment section if you want to see more of such videos or any specific topic that you want us to come and discuss here on this video. So we would be happy to do that.
And let us know what you were most excited about at Integrate 2022 if you were there. We'd really love to hear from you as well.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you in the next video.